was the co-founder and CTO of Wyre. He was also the co-founder and CTO of Presley. But today, he's the co-founder and CEO of Horizon Blockchain Games. Welcome, Peter. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, man. That's a very kind introduction. I understand if you guys want to take a washroom break. Yeah, so it's an honor to be here with you guys. I'm the CEO of a blockchain gaming company, but I'm still the lead developer, actually, one of the lead developers and architects. And it's an amazing space to explore. And I remember coming to ETHWaterloo for the first time 2 years ago. The first one, and actually Liam Horn from L4 is the guy who checked me in. It was pretty sweet. And now he asked me to speak here with you guys after spending 2 years working on a video game, which we'll show you. So my team and I, which we're 22 of us now, we're very excited about exploring video game experiences and incentives in the Web3 era. So I'm here to tell you about my perspective, what Web3 means from a product perspective. So first, focusing on kind of Web 1.0, really, which is the idea around the connectivity of information. So it kind of looks like this back in the day. If you guys remember starting with Netscape, downloading it, it was just incredible, like tapping into this endless sea of information that's hyperlinked. It's kind of interesting where it comes from, like starting from HTTP, a transport protocol, a resource, a unifier and locator to connect information, an HTML, a document standard, all open standards, really protocols. And the browser, which really represents this World Wide Web, the vision of open and connected information to allow anyone to access to publish into this network, is something really that started us to be here. And it definitely changed my life, and I probably spent 100,000 hours or something like that on it. And so when we think about Web 2.0, it's about the connectivity of applications, networks, and people. And that's where we are today. And so what kind of occurred? Obviously, browsers became incredibly powerful. JavaScript in the browser essentially converged to the capabilities of what a desktop could do, to the extent that companies like Firefox and Google, or Mozilla, via Firefox, Chrome, Google, their browsers are like operating systems. And in fact, even today, when we talk about like WebAssembly as a kind of essentially a universal machine-level language, people are even putting WebAssembly in the Linux kernel, which is just wild, and on blockchains, of course, soon. And this essentially deepened the experience and allowed anyone to instantly access applications and software from anywhere, from any device, for free, without, in a sandbox, in a kind of a secure environment. And interestingly, this right here is Spotify, which is actually a web application in a browser. This is actually Chrome. I'm not sure if you guys know this. And so, of course, there's also an emergence of networks, of social networks, the connectivity. More people came online. Obviously, like e-commerce was kind of fulfilled by usability and the collaboration across ecosystems like clouds and APIs. This is Web 2.0. So we kind of came to the point of the connectivity of information and the kind of emergence of applications and the wide global connectivity of individuals and people as groups. And now, what I think about Web 3.0 is really the Internet of Value. And so it's kind of looking back Web 2 and turning these applications and networks into economies. And this is, again, my view and that I'm extremely excited about. And so Web 3, what makes it possible is to create and participate in open and secure digital economies. So, for example, the simplest thing would be, as a user of an application, you can actually generate value just by being a user, a valuable user. And just like we do on mining, just like how Bitcoin and Ethereum started, just like how you can mine and stake, by helping secure the network, you ultimately get to earn the native token of that network. And in this case, by offering my compute power, I can earn Ethereum, which is pretty sweet. And so another great example of kind of offering, in a lot of ways, it's kind of like value sharing, right? You produce value, you get value. And so in the Brave browser, which offers, made by the ex-Mozilla CEO, they have essentially it's a privacy-driven browser where you have access to the control as to have advertisers or people actually view your fingerprints online, you can opt in to choose to do that. Then advertisers and publishers can target you, but you'll actually earn BAT token as a result of that. You typically can take that BAT token, convert it for various different pairs in the market, such as Ethereum or DAI or whatever, which is liquid stuff. Maybe you'll sell it back to advertisers who want to be targeting other users, which is pretty cool. So surfing the web, you're earning value. It's that simple. So I'm working on a game called Skyweaver. This is what we've been doing for 2 years. Really excited. Looks like this. It's actually a web game, WebGL game. We built our own engine. So it's a 1 versus 1 multiplayer turn-based strategy game, similar to Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Hearthstone, and so forth. It's available on 7 different platforms: Windows, Mac, Linux, iPhone, Android, iPad. And it's so the idea of our game, as targeting the Ethereum ecosystem, is that we have 400 different types of collectible cards. These cards are ERC 1155 tokens, but forget the number, not really that important. More to the extent is that they're a type of cryptocurrency token that exists in your wallet, so you're able to own them and you're able to trade them with one another, which is really cool. And it's funny, in the digital card game space, what is it, $2 billion market, they're actually not, you might hear the terms TCG or CCG. They're all CCGs because they're just collectible card games. In the digital space, there's really no one, not even Magic the Gathering, that lets you trade with your friends, which is really interesting and funny, and because it has great implications to the economics. But there's also really cool incentives by having the opportunity to own these items, but also being able to kind of gamify them, in the idea of generating value and acquiring value. So as a user, as you're leveling up and you're climbing the ranks, the production of our assets in our economy, which is our card, our economic asset is the actual game card itself. On a weekly basis, this is how we mint our assets. So the top players every single week, we mint a bunch of silver cards at random, and we distribute them to people's wallets. And that's the only way they get produced. You win the card, you put it in your wallet, and this is real on-ramp, and we have a good number of users, and it's only growing and people love the game. Actually, the guy who worked on the game is a guy who used to work on Magic the Gathering. You can play it everywhere, obviously. So there's a fully integrated wallet. You can see you have some Ether, we have some Arcadium coin. It's essentially a stable coin, a wrapped DAI with meta transaction capability. But you can see the reward kind of leaderboard. Here I can actually go to my wallet and decide to send it to my friend. If I want to, I can hit send and there it goes. Or I can actually go to the marketplace and I can, the cards that I've won through the leaderboard in a free video game, I can there, sell it on the open market for, whatever the market's accepting at the time. In a really seamless experience. And that's kind of the point as to what I think we're all kind of obviously heading in terms of all this amazing research and protocol design, but it's to be able to productize it kind of an end-to-end experience and be able to deliver what I think is about, value sharing. Economy design and kind of open economies as networks and so forth, like I was saying. Skyweaver, free to play, play to earn. Go to skyweaver.net and give it a go if you'd like. It's on the Rinkeby network, and I think that's generally my presentation. But the message I would leave everyone is just the idea of creating value and having the ability to earn values, kind of the perspective that I think is very novel of what these technologies allow. And it's really just the beginning for Web3. There's so many vectors and use cases for it in this open commerce platform, and really exploring the space. So really excited, and thank you very much.